What's up, everybody? I'm Allison,
And I'm Jill.
and welcome to the Players Corner. So, today's episode is going to be really fun. We have Abby Tamer, the Caitlin Clark of field hockey, according to Amanda Galini, joining us. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Skills Machine. We do have a giveaway announcement that we're going to put in the post show. And without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Today's guest is a Michigan native who played for Dexter High School, winning two state titles, and currently is a forward on the Michigan Wolverines in the Big Ten, where she helped them win a 2022 Big Ten tournament title. She helped the U21 team win a bronze medal at the 2021 Junior Pan American Games, named to the U.S. Women's National Team in January of 2023. She helped the USA qualify for the Olympics this past January, scoring the game-winning goal against Japan. Please welcome to the Players Corner, Abby Tamer.
Thanks for having me.
You come from an extremely athletic family. Your dad played in the NHL, and your sister and your mom both involved in field hockey. So what was it like growing up in that kind of environment?
Yeah, I talk about it a lot. It was like really competitive growing up, which I think really like translates to how competitive you need to be at the highest level. Um so that was good, but I've also been talking about this a little bit lately. Both my parents were like high level athletes, and I think that could have gone one of two ways where they're like way too pushy and kind of put too much pressure on you, but my parents were really good at supporting us and just being there for us and letting us make our own decisions, but just fostering the competitiveness that we needed to succeed. So it was a good way to grow up.
Who would you say your field hockey role model is? I know like your mom and your sister played, but is there someone that you looked up to like growing up that you're like, oh, I want to be just like them?
Yeah, I started kind of late, so like I right now I look back on the 2016 team and like get a lot of inspiration from them, but I started playing in 2015 and didn't start like really watching um when they were when they were it and when they were the team to watch. But when I first started, there was a Michigan player, Lauren Thomas, who coached a lot at Pinnacle, my club, and I did some private lessons with her, and I just like idolized her, and she plays center back, I'm pretty sure, at the club she plays at still, and I'm a center forward, so I didn't go down that path, but I just really liked her like as a role model at practice and the spirit she brought.
So, your mom and your sister both played field hockey at Michigan. So, when you were choosing what college to attend, did you look at any other programs or did you kind of know that you wanted to go to Michigan?
Yeah, I went through the whole process. Like I looked everywhere. I ended up between Michigan, Maryland, and Northwestern, and in the moment I was like I could have seen myself going to any of the three, but looking back on it, I don't really think there was another school that I would have ended up at, just with I'm such a homebody, so it's nice being 25 minutes away from my parents, and I don't love change, so being close was just a good little adjustment. But I love Michigan, and it's worked out great. And I love my class, my coaches, my classes, my teammates. Everyone's great. So
So, during your freshman year, you were on the Junior Pan American team that won a bronze medal. And that
mhm.
tournament happened like opening day of field hockey season. So, what was your transition to college like because you were, at the Pan Americans during preseason?
Yeah, so I was able to like start preseason at Michigan, and then I think I was there for like 3 days, 4 days, and then we had to fly down to Chile, which I wasn't planning on because I was an alternate. So I like didn't have this planned out until a couple days before preseason started. So we had the run test and then the first couple days of preseason, and then I flew out and missed a good chunk of preseason, which I think is like a really big time for team bonding. Which my team was great that I was able to come back and it wasn't even an issue. And my sister was on the team, so like I had that to stay connected a little bit easier. But then I remember we were like sitting in the basement of the hotel watching the first game against UNC, I think it was, and then Wake Forest the next that Sunday, and like the team was doing really well, and it was bittersweet because it was like you love seeing your team succeed, but I was like, oh, I wish I could be there. I wish I could be there supporting and helping. But it was, yeah, so it was an interesting transition, but it was good.
Yeah, I was kind of on the other end of it. My team played Syracuse opening weekend. So the
Nice.
minute we found out Shar was not going to be there, we were all so happy. We
Change
still
the
lost.
name.
We lost like 7-0. We didn't have to play against Charlotte, so we were
Yeah,
happy.
yeah, fair.
So you were able to play one season at Michigan with your sister Emma. What was it like being able to play college field hockey with her?
Yeah, it was awesome. It like we never crossed paths in high school because she was a freshman in college when I was a freshman in high school. So we never played the same age group or anything. But we were always like we grew up practicing together. Once I started playing, she would like teach me all the fun skills and we'd be in our pole barn just like 1v1ing. So when we actually got to play together and be on the same team, that was just a really fun year. And I think my parents really enjoyed it as well to only have to travel to one game rather than splitting up and only have to get the Michigan gear rather than whatever other college one of us would have ended up at. But it was really special. And I look back on it with a lot of gratitude to everyone who was able to make that happen. It was awesome.
So you're majoring in exercise science, and as a fellow exercise science major, I was wondering what your favorite classes that you've taken are, and then if you've been able to apply anything you've learned to the way you play.
Yeah, so I really enjoy the exercise science major. I think there's a lot that is really applicable to sports. One of the classes I think it was called motor development. I took it last spring, I believe. It talked a lot about like theories of learning. I think it might have been motor learning actually. Talked a lot about theories of learning and how to best optimize like your practices. And I'm obviously not building the practice plan, so I'm not like structuring it based on that class, but it was interesting. Once I was taking it, I would find myself just thinking about it always, like when I would do my private lessons or just be at practice, I'd be like, this relates to this in this way. So I really liked that class. But then I also liked my anatomy class, and I'll always find myself like moving my hands around and being like, I know what these muscles are. And I just enjoy that. So that was fun. But yeah, I love the major.
So your college coach, Marcia Pancratz, was an Olympian in 1988 and 1996. So what was the conversation with her like when you kind of like were in the process of like debating if you wanted to take an Olympic waiver or not?
Yeah, she was really supportive. And that was a really, it was hard to make that decision one way or the other. And looking back on it, I don't think I would have made a different decision. But in the moment, it was tough because it's like, do you pause your college career to go pursue this thing that you've been dreaming of your whole life, or do you like not have to worry about the change? And I mentioned it, I don't really love change, so jumping into something was a little bit of a struggle, but she was super supportive whichever way I was deciding that day. And I would talk to her a lot. And so like I would come in and be like, I don't think I can do it. And she'd be like, you don't have to, you can stay. And then the next day I'd be like, I'm gonna do it. And she'd be like, you should do it. So she was really supportive, and I'm glad to have had that in my corner. And like I said, I don't think I could have made another decision, but it was good having someone just back me no matter what.
Michigan has an array of successful athletic programs, from football to ice hockey to gymnastics and lacrosse. How do you think Michigan's athletics separate itself from other programs?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many other schools there are out there that consistently have teams at the top of their respective sport as much as Michigan does. And there's some schools that have like Alabama's good in a bunch of sports, but I think Michigan epitomizes the student athlete being at the top of their academics, and then it's always a challenge. Like you're walking around with a bunch of the other sports who you're like, I want to be better than them. So that pushes you in your own in your own right. But there's so many sports, so many more sports than people would think of. Like it's not just football, ice hockey, basketball, and base. Like there's so many other sports that do so well year to year. So it's really special to be able to be at a school that, like I said, really epitomizes winning and epitomizes being successful as a student and as an athlete.
So going off that kind of, what do you like most about playing in the Big Ten Conference?
The Big Ten's awesome because it's a really tactical conference. Like there's a lot of tactics that each coach uses, and all the coaches are really well respected, and a lot of them came out of that same era that my coach had came out of. So it's always really competitive. And I think that's one of the best things is it doesn't matter who you're going to play. Like it could go either way. And I don't think that's true for every single conference. Um, so like when you get into Big Tens, when you get into playoffs, it doesn't matter if you're coming in at the 4 seed or you're coming in at the 1 seed, you could still win. And I'm pretty sure when we won, we were the 4 seed. And the year before, I think we were the 5 seed and made it to the finals. So like I said, it's super competitive. The coaches are all really similar and really driven to bring their teams to success. But it's also fun. Like I know a lot of other people in the Big Ten, so it's fun competing against people every game.
Yeah, I feel like I know ACC is like when everyone thinks of field hockey, they kind of think of the ACC teams, but like I grew up like 20 minutes from Rutgers. So
Yeah.
like I feel like Big Ten field hockey is just like so competitive. And I just don't think there's another conference like it that's just
Yeah.
that competitive that every team is that good.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
What's your favorite part about going to Michigan?
That's a good question. I think there's so many different things that I could say. Like I said, I think it was like it's a little bit I kind of grew up there. It's nice to be around like where I grew up. But I think my class specifically, there's five of us and we like they're my best friends. I think we go through everything together. We live together. Um, they are probably a lot of what's made Michigan such a good school to go to. Um, so shout out to them.
Did you ever consider being a commuter since you live so close, or was that not an option because you're an athlete?
Yeah, no, when I gray shirted, so I went a semester early and that was during COVID. And I really only did it because there was no other field hockey playing. So during that time I did live at home and I would just drive in for practice because classes weren't even in person. Um, so that was a really nice way to transition in, but no, I've lived on campus. I like living on campus. It's nice. And I wouldn't want to make that drive every day for classes. That would be a lot.
Okay, so now we're going to transition to kind of national team stuff. So you scored in your national team debut, which is just kind of insane. And had an overall great showing during your first senior team series. How much of a confidence boost did having such an immediate impact on the team give you?
Yeah, so I think it was actually my second game that I scored my first goal in, and I remember
Okay.
my mom and my sister were in the crowd, and I couldn't tell at the time, but after the game my sister was like, I was crying, and I always look for my parents and my family in the crowd, and I didn't think she was crying. I thought she was just laughing. So that was a funny little moment, but I think my coaches and my teammates all were really good about being like, this is your first game. You don't need to be like this outstanding, you don't need to be making this giant impact right away. And I think them taking the pressure off actually helped me perform a lot. And like I could turn my brain off and just play. And that's when I'm at my best, when I don't really have to think. So my coaches being behind me and my teammates giving me a lot of confidence was really beneficial for me for those first four games.
How was the transition to Charlotte for you, especially considering you go to college so close to where you live and like you said, not a big fan of change. So how did that kind of work for you?
Yeah, so it wasn't actually the like moving far away from home that was the hard part. It was the transitioning to just being an athlete because I didn't take classes in the fall. So you go from being a student athlete in college where you have a built-in social life, a built-in sports life, and a built-in academic career, and then you move down to Charlotte and you're literally just an athlete if you don't make an effort to go do other things. So that was actually the hardest part of it. And I took classes this past semester because like I said, it was hard not having anything else to focus on. So um, once I, it's not an easy transition, but once you figure it out and you figure out what you need as a player who's now in like the more professional world, um, it gets easier and it becomes really rewarding. And it has been really rewarding this whole year. Um, and my teammates, I think they've been really intentional about reaching out to us younger kids who are just moving down for the year and making sure we're comfortable um, and trying to point us in the right direction, which has been great. So not the easiest, but it's really good now.
So a couple weeks after the Pan Americans for the senior team, you competed in the Junior World Cup. Do you find there to be kind of like an adjustment when switching between the two teams, or like skill wise or even mentally?
Yeah, so I've always liked going back and forth between teams, because I think it like if let's just say one team's on one level and one team's on the other level, when you go up to the higher team, you're gonna really struggle, but then you go back down to the lower team and you're gonna take all those lessons, and that just gives you so much more confidence, which you can go back to the higher team and then be more confident. And then it's just kind of a like never-ending cycle if you keep moving back and forth between teams. So I've enjoyed that, and I feel like being able to play at different levels is actually really helpful. Um, but I think one of the things that I was focusing on during that tournament was how I like present myself as a teammate rather than like just focusing on skill because I had more experience than a lot of the girls. Um, so being able to use that in a positive way was important for me to try to start to do and try to learn how to do.
You scored the game winner during the 2-1 win over Japan to qualify the team for the Olympics. What were your thoughts and emotions in that moment?
Yeah, everyone always asks about that, and I remember it really well. Like I remember it probably more clear than any goal that I've ever scored. And I remember we were down 1-0 going into the fourth quarter, and then we got a corner and Ashley Hoffman scored. Um, and then we got another corner and we called the same play, and I was the L1 tipper on that. So I was like, okay, Ashley's gonna score this. It's great. Our captain's gonna put us up 2-1. Not gonna matter. And then the corner went. She shot it. The goalie saved it. And I remember I was standing there and I could tell, like I knew I had such a feeling that she was gonna rebound it right to me because she was like logged, I think, and then had her stick out. And I was like, the way her stick's angled, this is coming right to me. And I was like, okay, she's gotta be ready. So just got ready to receive it, got it, hit it, it went in. And then like the goal celebration was really fun, obviously, like most are, but the post-game celebration, that was like the best feeling I had ever had. And I always say it like there's 19 of us, 20, 26 girls total, 34 on the entire national team. We all felt the same way. Like we had been working for this for so long and we're all just out there on the field feeling the same emotions. And that's a really special and I think really unique feeling to feel on a team. So yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I think when Maddie Zimmer was on, we just like, because I feel like she was like one of the first people to hug you, and we're like, what's going on in the moment? Because just like all the emotions are like, that has to be such an incredible moment.
Yeah, it's really special, and I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Okay, so in last week's episode, we asked Amanda who she thought could be a potential Caitlin Clark for field hockey, someone who drastically changes the popularity and culture of the sport in the States, and she said you. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I that's a like really, really good compliment. I think Caitlin Clark's done so much for women's basketball, but also women's sports. And if I could do anything similar to growing the game the way she has for her sport, that would be amazing. But I think like I don't know if I would completely say that, but I really appreciate Amanda saying that. But I think growing the game is really important, and that's really important to me. My mom runs a couple different things. She's the president of the Michigan chapter of USA Field Hockey and the executive director of a nonprofit that's dedicated to growing the game. So I see that side of it a lot, and I understand the impact of how important it will be to grow the game. So like I said, if I can have any percentage of an impact the way that Caitlin Clark has for her sport, that would be great.
So a couple weeks back, maybe like 2 weeks ago now, you attended the Team USA Media Summit in New York. Is there anything that you can share about the experience?
Yeah, so it was like in Times Square at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. It was just um a media event for a lot of Olympic hopeful athletes. And there were a bunch of journalists, a bunch of different media outlets. It was like a full day of interviews and photo shoots, and it was crazy, but it was a really well put together event. And I was proud to be able to represent USA Field Hockey. But yeah, like I said, it was a really cool event where you were just talking the entire day. And by the end of it, I was like, I don't think I've spoken this much in many years, but uh, yeah, credit to USOPC for putting on something like that. It was amazing, and they made the athletes like feel like royalty, which was not something you always get as an athlete, but it was really fun. It was really cool.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of the articles about Bing like come out with her being like a jokester or prankster, whatever wording they're using.
Yeah,
But I haven't really seen too much of like articles about you yet, so I'm excited to see those.
yeah. We'll see. We'll see what comes out.
Okay, so last question for this section is what do you wish people knew about the U.S. women's national team?
That's a good question. I've gotten a similar one recently. Like, what do you wish people knew more about field hockey? And my go-to answer is just like kind of to know about it because I think it is such a good sport. And I think like what you guys are doing with the podcast and just bringing more like streams of ways for people to take it in is really good. But specifically about our team, um, I think I would just like people to like know how dedicated we all are and how much we as individuals put in to make to make the team what it is. And I think like every single player on our team has such a big impact, whether they're centralized, decentralized, have been a part of the program for a while, are brand new. Everyone has an impact, and being able to recognize that and recognize the work that people are putting in on a day-to-day basis, I think is a really important thing that sometimes people overlook because you don't see us practice every day. You see us come out 3 or 4 times a year to compete.
Yeah, and I think that like stuff like, you know, pro league being behind a paywall, while I understand why it has to, like why it is, but like we don't televise field hockey, so I feel like that doesn't also help because like no one even knows that like the pro league exists.
Right.
Let alone like what you guys are doing like on a daily basis or like even test matches against like Argentina last week.
Right.
Like unless you really closely follow the sport, like no one knows it's happening.
Right. Right.
So hopefully
Yeah,
we
I just I'm
no, go
sorry.
ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say sometimes it just feels like it's like too much like after the fact kind of thing, like, oh, they did this, but we did but like nobody knew about, so nobody knew to like coverage or like things like that.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think they're putting 2 of our games for Pro League on CBS. So that's like we're going in the right direction. Some of the Olympic qualifier games were televised. Pro League's starting to get televised. Obviously, the Olympics will all be televised, which will hopefully bring a lot of light to the sport, which, like I said, I think is really important.
So is I mean we already got the roster for this upcoming Pro League series, but is there anything like you're looking to improve on during this upcoming Pro League series and like while you wait for the Olympic roster to be named?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have things that we want to work on, and that's one thing that I think once you get to a certain level, you realize how much more goes into it, like outside of actual practice, like how many meetings we have about what we want to get better at as players, how much film we watch. But for me personally, I want to work on my consistency and just being more level-headed as a player, because I think I have moments where I can be really good and then some moments where I feel like I'm just not having the impact that I would like to have. Um, which that for me is going to be a mindset shift that I'll have to work on. So that's my main thing for Pro League.
I feel like Hoffman would be a great one to talk to about that. That girl is
Yeah.
so calm.
Yeah. Her and Amanda both are great resources for all of us.
So is there anything specifically you're looking forward to this upcoming fall at Michigan?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to be back. Like I said, like I really have enjoyed this year. It's been really rewarding, but I am excited to go back and be a college student again. And like I said, I miss my class. I miss my team. I'm excited to go back and play more college field hockey and just be back in the college atmosphere.
How do you think this time with the US national team will help benefit your college game?
Yeah, I don't even know that I can really put it into words. I have high expectations for myself to bring some of the lessons back to school and hopefully help my team as best as I can. But I think the speed that international field hockey is played at is so much different than any other field hockey. So if I can bring some semblance of that speed back to our team and help us get better in that way, I think that's probably what I'll shoot for.
Is there someone on your team, this can be your Michigan team or the US national team, that you think is underrated and deserves more love for their game?
Yeah, there's so many people that I think are underrated. I think on both teams, like I said before, everyone like puts in so much work and has so much of an impact that you don't realize. Um, I think on the national team, I would say Kelly LePage because she's like such a good person, and that to me makes me want to work harder. And like for that reason, I think she's underrated because she helps other people be better. And that's not something you usually see. And then on my Michigan team, it's kind of hard because right now half the team is new and I haven't really played with them. But I'm gonna say one of the freshmen who I kind of grew up coaching and playing with, Natalie Millman. She had a pretty good impact this year, but I think she's gonna be like a force to be reckoned with, and I'm excited to play with her and see what she can really do as she gets more comfortable and confident.
I know like Michigan, like they had some like ups and downs this year, but especially that freshman class, like who will be sophomores, I think, like you said, a force to be reckoned with. I think like they're just like scratching the surface of like how like impactful they can be. I think they're
Yeah.
gonna be really exciting to watch this upcoming year.
Yeah, and I think it actually like it's kind of bittersweet because they got a lot of experience but it was tough experience to get, but
Mm.
I think it's good that they're gonna have that year under their belt. And I think our freshman class coming in is gonna be really good too. So I'm really excited to see how our youth, it feels weird to say, how our youth are gonna help us.
All right, so now we're in the fun questions, even though, all the questions are fun.
Yeah.
So the first one's a little bit of a weird one. And
Okay.
do you have do you have a pillow pet for long bus rides?
I don't have a pillow pet, but I have a little pillow. It's like this big. It's a New York Rangers pillow because my dad played for the Rangers. And I bring it everywhere. Like we're at an Airbnb in the mountains right now, and it's probably on the bed in there right now.
I know it's like a thing that's like I know like my college, two of the classes did it. The younger classes don't really do it. But I know like at some colleges it's like such a big thing for all the players to have pillow pets for bus rides. And like I don't know, I think it's kind of like funny. So I always like
Yeah,
asking if that's a thing at other schools.
yeah. That's funny. I don't actually think any of my teammates have a pillow pet that they bring on trips, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know. That's a funny one.
What is your go-to coffee order?
I don't drink coffee. I stick with water, Gatorade, lemonade. I don't drink coffee.
I love
I
that.
respect that. I don't drink coffee either.
Me either.
Yeah. I'll drink tea, but not a big coffee person.
All right, what are your game day superstitions?
I don't call them superstitions. I try to stay in like somewhat of a routine, but
Okay.
I'm not like the closest thing to superstition would be like a Nike sports bra. Has to be Nike. Um, Pancakes before because we always get served breakfast, so I always go with pancakes. But yeah, I don't know. I just listen to my music before and I'll say soccer circle too. We always play soccer circle. I don't know if anyone else has talked about that, but I always have to play soccer circle before. But to me, that's a routine. Like if I don't do it, we could still win.
I feel like the last three people in a row have said pancakes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so pancakes. I get behind that.
And then everyone kind of mentions soccer circle, but they like never really talk about it specifically.
Yeah, yeah.
Who is your favorite teammate to room with?
To room with. I've roomed with Maddie Zimmer like 2 or 3 times now, and she's like we get along well. She's a chill roommate. The room is like usually smells fine. But I haven't had any bad roommates yet. Like I would room with everyone that I've roomed with so far again. So yeah.
Okay, and then is there anyone that you want to meet from another team in the Olympic Village?
Field hockey wise or just any sport?
Any sport.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. And I don't know if like they're all gonna be there because some rosters haven't been announced yet, but if I met Caitlin Clark, that'd be cool. Um, a lot of the soccer players would be cool. At the media summit that I was at one point I was in the same room with Crystal Dunn, Rose Lavelle, and Emily Sonnet, and I was like, God, I like took a video of them from far away. This is so cool. So if I met any of the women's soccer team, that'd be cool. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm a big soccer fan, so
yeah, I
and
like
then also
that.
like Gotham is my home team, so
Nice.
big Bats fan.
Where's your favorite place that you have traveled for field hockey?
I really liked South Africa. We went there for the Junior World Cup. I think it was in 2022. That was really cool. And we didn't even get to go out as much as we probably would have because it was still kind of COVID restricted. But on the last day, we got to go on a safari. And that was like, we would look out of the van and there'd be like birds flying overhead, giraffes, zebras running in the background. It was unreal. I felt like I was watching Madagascar, but like it was crazy. So that was really cool.
So that does it for us. We're gonna head into the post show. Thank you so much, Abby, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abby, for joining us. We had a lot of fun. I just feel like she's pretty cool. Like she's like
Yeah, I feel like be like, oh, I want to be friends with Abby too. I don't know. She just carries herself like I don't know.
yeah, she was just kind of like a chill person. So had a lot of fun. So basically post show, we're going to talk about the giveaway and then we're going to talk about the roster drop. That's all we're really going to talk about. There is like a couple of other like field hockey news things that like we'll cover, I guess, next week. Next week we are pre-filming. I think we're up to 6 episodes next week that we are filming in 1 week.
Yay.
Because we are pre-filming all of the episodes for while the team is over at Pro League, because we don't want to like we want to get through the entire team before the Olympics, and then also we do like not want to rush them or make them feel like they have to do it, because a lot of their games are back to back. So I don't want to, like, obviously them winning and playing well is their priority. I don't want to distract from that. So we are pre-filming all of the episodes. It's going to be a very fun week. All of those sticker cards were already up on our stories, but Kelsey Bing is going to be our guest for next week. So we will have Kelsey Bing's up tonight. She's the only one we hadn't put up yet. And I think Grega might not have been up yet.
Yeah, I believe it was Shoulder and some fest, but I don't believe Grega.
Yeah, I put LePage up last night.
Yeah, yeah.
That might be it. I don't know. But anyway, to the
He'll be up.
they'll be up. So to our giveaway announcement. So Skills Machine, Chris, who owns Skills Machine, has created Grand Prix Field Hockey, spelled PRIX, like NASCAR. I don't know if NASCAR has Prius or if that's more IndyCar. That's my brother's sports, not mine.
Not ours.
Grand Prix Field Hockey they are movement and skills challenges for running, dribbling, and passing that will allow you to assess, track, and compare fitness and skill levels. So, like for example, one of them is like running up to a cone and then running back. One is dribbling up to a cone, doing I think a pull and then running back. I think there are 18 challenges, 14 that you can just do with I think balls and cones and a field and possibly a net, or make a cone net. Or if you're like me, my backyard has 2 trees next to each other that like are about the distance of a goal, and I've used that as a goal since I played youth soccer. So get creative. And then there are 4 challenges that do require a skills machine. So saying this, we are going to be giving a skills machine kind of in partnership with Grand Prix Field Hockey. We'll have a link to Grand Prix Field Hockey down below so you can kind of get a better assessment of all the challenges. So first, for my children, because I know most of the people who are going to be entering this, get your parents' permission. Do not give your address to strangers over the internet that you do not know without parents' permission.
We are not endorsing that. Ask your parents.
Ask your parents. I don't care if you are 18 years old and you are moving out to college next year. Please get your parents' permission. Please. And do not give your address out to anybody without permission. Please.
Nope.
There are creeps on the internet, as seen by the responses to some of our stickers this weekend. I had to block some people. Do not give your address out to people on the internet. There are creeps. So please get your parents' permission. Then you have to follow the Field Hockey Analyst, which I would be surprised if you're getting this and you don't follow the Field Hockey Analyst, but follow me. And then you also have to follow Grand Prix Field Hockey on Instagram, which I'll have linked down below. And this is going to be an Instagram post, I believe today or tomorrow. So they'll also be tagged there. Then you have to go to grandprixfieldhockey.com, make your account. The account is basically just a code name. So they'll have a leaderboard of this is the top performer of this skill, this challenge. And it won't be your real name. Make something fun, like Crazy Chicken 123. I don't know. And then you have to upload and tag Grand Prix Field Hockey, or upload a video of you doing challenge 1, which is Speedy Interruptus. I probably said that wrong. And tag Grand Prix Field Hockey in it. That is all you have to do, and we are giving you until July 26th, which is opening ceremony, to do this. So you have, as of right now, 3 months to make a video, upload it, and follow. And then I would also highly suggest involving yourself in other challenges other than just doing the one to enter the giveaway. It is kind of cool, especially because you can compare yourself against players in different age categories. And then also you could compare yourself, like we are going to have some male players competing in it too. So you could kind of compare yourself to like, oh, well, these are like the U18 men's kids. Men's kids didn't sound right. Men's players. And then these are like U12 girls players. So you could kind of compare yourself. Um, and it kind of creates a good like a gauge of fitness level. We will be announcing the followers the week after the 26th. So I believe that's the first week in August. And
Yeah.
that will be uploaded on Instagram and then also on here. And the other thing, so we will be giving away a skills machine. That is the prize. However, if you have purchased a skills machine in 2024, like you already have bought it or you're planning on buying it, you will be reimbursed for the amount that you paid. So you can use PC40, that's our code, to purchase a skills machine between now and then. And then if you do win the giveaway, you will be refunded for the full amount.
Oh, nice.
So that is our giveaway. I will have an Instagram post up. Get your friends involved. You get one for you get one of your friends wins it, you could go play at their house. So
Yeah. Tell your friends.
tell your friends. So transitioning into the roster drop. The roster was dropped, I think, on Tuesday, maybe?
Yes, that sounds right.
That sounds right. So we're not going to read out the full list. The full list is on the website. It's also on my Instagram. So from the current training squad, the only two we're missing right now is Charlotte DeVries and then Caroline Ramsey, who both were part of the players that joined post qualification. For Charlotte's a very good player. Do not get me wrong. I've played games against her at when she was at Syracuse. She was a very good player to watch at Syracuse, and I really enjoyed watching her play. However, I do think we have too many forwards on this team. We have a very forward heavy program with the likes of Sessa. Zim's in midfield, isn't she?
She kind of like is she kind almost on the national. She kind of plays like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like she was like I feel like in some of those qualified games she was on the forward line.
Yeah. You got Fia, you got
Tamer.
Tamer, you got Yeager. I know I'm missing probably one or two, but I feel like we have a pretty forward heavy program. So it kind of makes sense. And then for Caroline Ramsey, I am a very big Caroline Ramsey fan.
Definitely.
Her penalty corner, like Cornell had the highest penalty corner conversion rate with 20 something percent this past fall. Her penalty corner drag flick is like deadly. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I do believe that she's a DCM, defensive center mid. And just based on the fact that like if Hoffman doesn't make the roster, there's something wrong. Um she's the captain.
Right.
I can't imagine Hoffman not making the roster. I think that Ramsey is very much a direct backup for Hoffman, and Hoffman doesn't necessarily get subbed out a lot. And if she does, I believe Jill Wolgamuth is usually the one who is her automatic backup. So
Yeah,
I think Ramsey's kind of would be a third string in that sentiment. And when we're only allowed 16 players on an Olympic roster, I don't necessarily think that Caroline is going to make it. I do think that Caroline, like, if she stays consistently training, will be on the team for 2028. Like, she is a phenomenal player.
Oh, definitely. I think just right now the defensive core is just a little too like a little like it's just going up against that veteran depth that like you're not gonna
Yeah.
you're not gonna pull Wogelmuth or like Allie Hamill like out of that either for how important they were to the qualifier. So but no, I agree. I definitely think, her staying in the mix gives her a very good chance of being on the team for 2028.
Yeah. So for this roster, I don't necessarily think that that's an issue that she's not on this roster. So I mean, otherwise, I don't necessarily think that there are many surprises in this roster drop. I
No.
figured we'd go big roster just because, like, from an injury prevention standpoint, having more players. A lot of these games are back to back. I'll get to the schedule in a minute. But like we have games back to back. And it's like 8 games in like 3 weeks or something. So it is very high volume. So to mitigate injuries, having a big roster makes sense to kind of switch up the players. And also it is going to be the last look before the Olympic roster is named. So maybe if they're having second thoughts on like, oh, this player, like, it would be a good option. So I will
I
say
think
the
the more people, sorry, I think
go
the
ahead.
more people you can like, get in there is better than just like, oh, this is who we want and we're just gonna go with them. I think the more like you said, for injury prevention and just keeping people fresh, the more you can roll kind of those lines per se is gonna be very beneficial for them and give them like a better overall showing.
But otherwise, like not really a surprise on like this roster. I think we kind of knew that it was
Yeah.
gonna, like be a bigger one. Honestly, I think I thought it was gonna be maybe a little smaller. Um,
Mhm.
just based on like I know like so obviously for Olympics like it's 16 plus 2. For some tournaments it's like 18 plus 2. I didn't know that we were allowed to bring 26 players, but it's because not all of them are going to be rostered for every game.
Right. So that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah. So the team leaves for Belgium on May 15th, and then they play on May 22nd at 10:45 against Belgium. This is all in Eastern Standard Time or EDT. I
Yeah.
don't know. I think we're in EDT right now. I don't really know. Um,
We'll figure it out.
New Jersey time and Pennsylvania time. Basically where field hockey is time. Um, May 23rd at 8:15 a.m. against Argentina. May 25th at 5:45 a.m. against Argentina. May 26th at 8 a.m. against Belgium. Then they travel to London, and it's June 1st at 9:30 against Great Britain, June 2nd at 12:15 p.m. against Germany, June 5th at 10:30 a.m. against Germany, June 6th at 12:45 p.m. against Great Britain. So it's 2 days in a row, 2 games in a 2 days in a row, skip a day, 2 days in a row, which is a very clustered schedule.
Mhm.
Um, Although this is very typical for Pro League, to have this
Really.
type of scheduling. This is the last series of season 5 of the Pro League, and this is just an important thing to point out. We do not know if we will be qualifying for Pro League for next fall. I don't necessarily know the qualification standards for Pro League. However, we did not qualify last year for the Pro League. We were kicked out of the Pro League. We failed to qualify. And then New Zealand decided to focus their efforts on the Olympics. So they dropped out and we took their spot.
Mhm.
Um, so there is no guarantee that we will be competing in season 6 of the Pro League. So honestly, I have no clue how you qualify for the Pro League. I have Googled it.
Me
I'm kind
either.
of confused. I believe we were kicked out last year because we had come in last like 5 years in a row. Um, or 4 years in a row. So I
Mhm.
believe that is the reason why we were removed last year. As of the current standings, we are in eighth place. However, Belgium has only played 4 matches and we have played eight. Um,
Oh, wow.
and our goal differential is -24. Theirs is -12. Um, so
Right.
it's really going to depend on how Belgium does in this upcoming series. We also
Mhm.
are like pretty close with Great Britain. Great Britain has also only played 4 games. And we have the same amount of draws as them. But their goal differential is -13. So there is a chance that we do beat either, like we do kind of bump up past one of those teams and qualify ourselves for next year. I think that we need to try to plan or need to, I mean, obviously they're not going to just be like, oh, we don't want to qualify for this. That's not how this works. But
Mhm.
I think we do need to qualify for the Pro League, especially with the 2026 World Cup coming up soon.
Yeah.
Coming up in 2 years, if we want to qualify for the World Cup, I think we have to do that through Pan Americans. Don't quote me on that. Um, but I do think that like we should be in the like we being in the Pro League does help with consistency of this team and
Mhm.
help with the growth of this team. It also allows us to get a look at other like different players, some college players we pull up every once in a while, like Olivia Bent Cole we did last year. Um, so being able to pull those players up and get a look at them in a very professional and competitive environment that's not a closed test match is very important to not only the growth of this team, but also the growth of the game in the United States. So I do think that it's very essential that we are in the Pro League.
Right. There has to be somewhere where, not just like say the Olympics or World Cup, like there has to be somewhere else where you can watch these players, and Pro League is the best place for that,
Um, so I think that's gonna do it for us today, just because we're running out of time on the Zoom, as we always
as
are.
usual.
So next week's guest is Kelsey. Yeah, it is. Next week's guest is Kelsey Bing. I am so excited to have Kelsey Bing on and
Yay.
talk stats. Because I'm a nerd and she is. Well, I don't know if she considers herself a nerd, so I'm not going to say that she is a nerd, but she is a data person. So I'm very excited for that one. And then after that, the team will be traveling to the Pro League, so all of those episodes will be pre-filmed. Um, the post shows will not be pre-filmed, so we will talk about what's ever happening in real time. And maybe we'll have a guest or two on to talk about some of the games. We'll have to see about that. We'll have some special episodes. Um, but that does it for us for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow the Field Hockey Analyst on Instagram. Follow us on here. We're only at like 23 subscribers, but we're consistently getting a decent amount of views. So not sure what's going on there. Like this video, comment down below. I don't know what your favorite Big Ten school is. Um, and have a good day.
See ya.